All right, from the start. Y'all can catch it on the replays or on the next round, or read it yourself. Job 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was wholesome and upright. He feared Elohim and shunned evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. His possessions consisted of 7,000 sheep and goats, 3,000 camels, 500 pairs of cattle, 500 she donkeys, and very many enterprises. That man was the wealthiest man of all the people in the East. Job is goals. 2026, y'all. It will be done. His sons would go and make a feast at each one's home, each on his set day, and they would send word and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When each cycle of feast days had ended, Job would send to summon them. He will rise early in the morning and bring as many burnt offerings as the number of them all. For Job said to himself, perhaps my children have sinned and blasphemed Yahweh in their hearts. Thus will Job do all the days. Like it say in Ezekiel 14, even if Job, Daniel, and Noah was in the city, they would save themselves. You see, he tried to save his children. He couldn't do it. His righteousness would save himself. It happened on one day. The angels came to stand before Yahweh, and the Satan, too, came among them. Yahweh said to the Satan, Hashatan, from where have you come? Hashatan answered Yahweh and said, for wandering and walking about the earth. Yahweh said to the Hashatan, did you set your heart to take note of my servant Job? For there is no one like him on earth, a wholesome and upright man, who fears Elohim and shuns evil. Yahweh said to Shatan, oh wait, I just read that, my bad. Hashatan answered Yahweh and said, is it for nothing that Job fears Elohim? Have you not set a protective wall about him, about his household, and about everything he owns from all around? You have blessed his handiwork, and his livestock has spread throughout the land. But send forth your hand and touch everything that is his, and see if he does not blaspheme you to your face. See, whoever the Satan is here, he's a dumbass, because the nation of Yasharal, every time they were so blessed and protected and all that, they did the opposite. They didn't really seek the Most High like that until they were in some shit. So this man, whoever this is, thinking that, Job's going to turn aside from the Most High just because everything ain't going perfect. But you gotta keep that same energy, whether in good or bad. Always the Most High first, above everything. Verse 12. So Yahweh said to Hashatan, behold, everything that is his is hereby in your hand, but do not send forth your hand against his person. Hashatan then departed from the presence of Yahweh. It happened one day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the home of their eldest brother, that a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the she donkeys were grazing alongside them, when Sabaeans befell and seized them. They struck down the servants by the edge of the sword. Only I by myself escaped to tell you. This one was still speaking when this other one came and said, a fire of Elohim fell from the heavens. It burned among the sheep and the servants and consumed them. Only I by myself escaped to tell you. This one was still speaking when this other one came and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 divisions and deployed around the camels and seized them. They struck down the servants by the edge of the sword. Only I by myself escaped to tell you. This one was still speaking when this other one came and said, Your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in the home of their eldest brother, when behold, a great wind came from across the desert. It struck the four corners of the house. It collapsed upon the young men and killed them. Only I by myself escaped to tell you. Notice it say young men, but it didn't say the young women was killed. But I guess um man encompasses man and woman when it's depending on the context. 20, verse 20. Job stood up and ripped his shirt. He tore the hair of his head. He threw himself upon the ground and prostrated himself. He said, naked did I emerge from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. Yahweh has given, and Yahweh has taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. Despite all this, Job did not sin, nor ascribe impropriety to Elohim. Chapter 2. It happened one day, the angels came to stand before Yahweh, and Hashatan too came among them to stand before Yahweh. I don't know why I'm so tired, man. Yahweh said to the Hashatan, where is it that you are coming from? Hashatan answered Elohim and said, from wandering and walking about the earth. Yahweh asked Shatan, did you set your heart to take note of my servant Job? For there is no one like him on earth, a wholesome and upright man who fears Elohim and shuns evil, and he still maintains his wholesomeness. You incited me against him to destroy him for no reason. Hashatan answered Yahweh and said, skin for the sake of skin. Whatever a man has, he will give up for his life. But send forth your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and surely he will blaspheme you to your face. Damn, dog always want to make noise. I swear this dog has anxiety, and for no damn reason sometimes. Like, he has separation anxiety. So if he's left by himself outside, even majority of the times, he'll want to bark. And if he'll be straight outside if somebody's out with him. But right now, he's right outside the patio door, and he's still tripping. He's looking right at me, and he still want to make noise like he's alone and shit. Let me let his ass in before he starts. Shalom. Come on. Knowing his dog. And put his ass in the house. What was that? What was Oh yeah. I'm in 2 verse 6 now. Yahweh said to Hashatan, behold, he is in your hand, but preserve his soul from death. Hashatan departed from the presence of Yahweh and afflicted Job with severe boils, from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. He took a potsherd to scratch himself with, and he sat amid the ashes. His wife said to him, do you still maintain your wholesomeness? Blaspheme Elohim and die. This motherfucker. Job said to her, you talk as any impious woman might talk. Furthermore, shall we accept the good from Elohim and not accept the bad? Despite everything, Job did not sin with his lips. Job's 3 friends heard about this total calamity that had befallen him, and each one of them came from his place. Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They gathered together to go and mourn with him and comfort him. They raised their eyes from a distance, but did not recognize him. They raised their voices and wept. Each man ran his coat, and they threw dust over their heads toward heaven. They sat with him on the ground for a period of 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, for they saw that his pain was very great. After that, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Job then spoke up and said, chapter 3, Lost be the day when I was born, and the night when it was announced, a man has been born. May that day become dark. May Elohim pay it no heed from above. May light never shine upon it. May darkness and the shadow of death sully it. May a cloud rest upon it. May it be terrified by the demons of day. May thick darkness snatch that night. May it not have joy among the days of the year. May it not come among the count of the months. May that night be desolate. May no joyful song come into it. May those who curse the day curse it, and so too those who arouse others in their mourning. May its twilight stars be dimmed. May it crave light but have, have none. May it not see the glimmer of dawn, for no one closed the portals of my womb to hide misery from my eyes. Why did I not die from the womb, not expire as I came forth from the belly? Why did the knees come to meet me? Why were breasts there for me to suckle? So now I will be lying calmly in my grave. I will be asleep, then I will be at rest, together with kings and counselors of the world who rebuild rooms for themselves, or with ministers who have gold and fill their houses with silver. Or had I, like a concealed stillborn, never been alive, like infants who never saw light? There the wicked cease from agitation, and their exhausted ones repose. The captives altogether are tranquil. They do not hear the taskmaster's voice. Small and great are equal there, and the slave is freed from his master. Why does he give light to the sufferer and life to those bitter of soul, to those who crave death, but it is not there, who seek it more eagerly than hidden treasure? To those who exult at a joyous occasion, who rejoice when they find the grave, to a man whose deeds are concealed, before whom Elohim has raised a barrier. For my side ushers in my meal. My groan pours forth like water, because I feared a fright, and it has overtaken me. What I dreaded has come upon me. I was not secure, I was not quiet, I was not at rest, and torment has come. Chapter 4. Eliphaz the Temanite then spoke up and said, If he tests you with one thing, will you become weary? Who can withhold his words now? Because you have rebuked many and have strengthened weak hands. Your words will stand up one who stumbles. You will brace buckling knees. And now when it befalls you, you become weary. It touches you and you are bewildered. Behold, was your fear of Elohim not your foolishness? And so too your hope in the wholesomeness of your ways? Remember, please, which innocent person ever perished? Where have upright people ever been obliterated? As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow injustice harvest them. By the breath of Elohim they perish. By the wind of his anger they expire. The adult lions roar, the whelps cry, and the cub's teeth all are lost. The mature lion perishes for lack of prey, and the lioness's children are dispersed. A message surreptitiously reached me, of which my ear absorbed a small portion. When thoughts are filled with nocturnal visions, when slumber falls upon man, fear came upon me, and trembling, it caused most of my bones to shudder. A spirit brushed my face. It made the hair on my flesh stand on end. It stood still, but I could not recognize its features. An image was before my eyes. I heard a faint whisper. Can a mortal man be more righteous than Elohim? Can a man be purer than his maker? If he cannot have faith even in his servants and finds fault with his angels, then surely he does the same with those who dwell in clay houses, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed before maggots. They are ground down from morning to evening. Without contemplation, they are lost forever. Behold, the pride within them departs, and they die without wisdom. verse 15 and 16 was talking about a spirit, and he recognized the image and shit like that. I don't know if that's actually what it's talking about, but when I read that, it kind of brings back there's times I would have when I used to have sleep paralysis, and I would always see this black image, and it was like a dark. You couldn't even see nobody. It was just like a black image. I would see it like every now and then, like a couple years ago, and I couldn't move, and I'd just be looking at it and shit. But then there's one time, damn, I just like laughed at it, and I was like, "You ain't real," and then it disappeared, and I damn, and then I was like trying. I still couldn't move, but I was like, it was weird. I tried to move, and then I thought I got up, but apparently I was still asleep, bro. It was the weirdest shit ever, yo. I was wobbling. I got up out of my bed, and I was wondering why I was like, it was like my vision was like left and right. It was like I was drunk and shit. And I look over, I'm still in my damn bed. And I'm like, oh shit. Like somehow I don't know, yo. Somehow I came out my fucking body, bro. And I was like thinking about like going wandering and shit. And I was like, nah, fuck that. So like something probably gonna like take over my body and shit. So I was like, once I like thought about going back to my body, I don't know, they call it the silver cord or some shit. It's mentioned in the Bible too. I don't know if that's, but I don't know. It was like I just like Scorpion, Scorpion, he get over here and shit. It was like that. It was like once I wanted to get it back in my body, it was like my spirit or whatever. I don't know, or maybe it was a dream. I don't fucking know, bro. But I saw myself sleeping in my bed and shit. Like I don't know. And I just got back in my body and immediately woke up. But then after that, I didn't really see that figure anymore until when was it? There was I never seen it in sleep paralysis anymore. But then like what was it, like maybe 2 years ago? I saw it again, but this time I could move, and I like I opened my eyes and I woke up and I seen this on the right of my bed looking at me and shit, and I hopped up immediately and like swung on that bitch, and that thing disappeared. I was like, it's been a minute since I don't know how to explain that shit, bro. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know how people feel about demons and shit like that, but I personally believe in evil spirits and shit, bro. Just based on personal experiences. But yeah, that verse reminded me. Just brought that. Some kind of figure asking them, can a mortal be more righteous than Elohim? But yeah, chapter 5. Cry out now, is there anyone who will answer you? To which of the holy beings will you turn? For anger kills the fool, envy slays the naive. I saw a fool strike roots, but I cursed his dwelling with sudden destruction, that his children be far from salvation, that they be crushed at the gate with no one to save them, that the hungry devour his harvest and take it from amid the thorns, and that the thirsty gulp their possessions. For destruction does not emerge from dust, nor does misery grow from earth. For man is born to weariness, while spiritual beings soar in flight. What the hell does that mean? Spiritual beings soaring. Destruction. I'm gonna have to come back to that. I'll pin that. However, I will beseech the Almighty and direct my words to Elohim, who performs great deeds that are beyond comprehension, and wonders beyond number, who gives rain upon the face of the earth and sends water over the outlying fields, so as to place the lowly on high and uplift the blackened with salvation, who thwarts the plottings of the cunning so that their hands will not produce results, who traps the shrewd with their trickery and causes the plans of the devious to turn to folly. By day they encounter darkness, and at midday they grope as in the night. He delivers their victims from the sword, from their mouths, and the destitute from the hand of the mighty. Thus there is hope for the poor, and iniquity shuts its mouth. Behold, fortunate is the man whom Elohim rebukes. Do not despise the Almighty's discipline, for he inflicts pain and bandages it. He crushes it in his hands heal. From 6 travails he will save you, and in the 7th no harm will reach you. In famine he will deliver you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. You will be concealed from the prowling tongue, and you will not need to be frightened of destruction when it comes. You will laugh at robbery and famine, and have no fear of the beasts of the land. For you will have a treaty with the stones in the field, and the beasts of the field will be at peace with you. You will know that your tent is at peace, and you will visit your home and find nothing amiss. You will know that your offspring are abundant and your descendants like the grass of the earth. You will go to the grave in ripe old age, just as a sheaf is brought in its season. Behold, we have investigated this, and it is so. Hear it, and you will know. Mm. Chapter 6. But yeah, that shit I just read it now. This just goes back to yeah, he loves who he chastises. And you just gotta learn from that and get stronger from the adversity and from the just like a father disciplines their children, lets them know when they're going wrong, and then you learn from that, and then you improve, and then turn you away from a wicked path or from making the wrong decision, and trusting in the Most High. Yeah, he gonna keep us from all that, the famines, the sword, all that destruction, robbery, famine, beasts of the land. Like, I laughed at that because it reminded me of the of that bird on my hand and shit, bro. And like, I was just thinking about it. I was in the ocean one time. And it's like all these fish, like bees. Some reason bees be like they like flying on me when I sit outside chilling, getting sunlight, meditating, just praying. Like bees love like flying on my ass. And I tell my niece like you ain't gotta be afraid of them. They ain't gonna sting you unless you threaten them. So like, I just be letting them. I pet one sometimes. You know, one time petting on his head like a damn like a dog, little mini dog. But damn, what was I finna get at? Oh yeah, one time I was in the ocean and these damn like I wouldn't say a school of fish, but it was like a family of fish was like circling around me and shit, bro. This was years ago. This was like 2015, 16 maybe. But that's how I feel though. I feel like just like Daniel in the lion's den and he wasn't harmed. That's the faith I have. Like I feel like if I was in that situation, the same one, I wouldn't be touched either. That's why I laughed when I read that. Because the Most High, he really would do that for his devout ones. And it's like what do we gotta fear? Like a normal motherfucker, yeah, your ass your ass gonna die. But motherfuckers that truly trust him like that and really don't fear because they know his hand, his wings is right there. Man, they ain't got nothing to do but laugh. Like anyway, yeah. Chapter 6. Uh Job then spoke up and said, if only my anger were to be weighed or my trauma placed on a scale, both lifted together, it would now be heavier than the sands of the seas. Therefore my words are confused, for the arrows of the Almighty are with me. My spirit drinks their poison. Elohim's horrors are arrayed against me. Does a wild ass bray over grass? Does an ox low over its fodder? Is bland food eaten without salt? Shit, white people be eating that bland food. Does the white of an egg have taste? What my soul had refused to touch is now the cloth for my food. Who will grant that my request be realized, that Elohim will grant my hope, and Elohim will be willing to crush me? to let loose his hand and cut me off. Moreover, that will be my consolation. I tremble with the plea that he show no mercy. For I have never disregarded the words of the Holy One. What strength have I that I should await? What is my end that I should extend my life? Is my strength the strength of rocks? Is my flesh made of copper? Is my own help not with me? Is counsel to be withheld from me? By one who withholds kindness from his friend and forsakes the fear of the Almighty? My brothers have betrayed me like a seasonal watercourse. They shift like the flow of streams, tucking themselves under ice, hidden under concealing snow. When they are scorched, they shrivel up. In the heat, they depart abruptly from their place. They determine their own courses, enter the waste, and are lost. They set their eyes on the path to Tamar and draw a line toward the direction of Sheba. People become ashamed for having trusted them. They approached it and were humiliated. And now, that is how you have been. You saw disaster and became frightened. Did I say, give me money, or use your power to pay a bribe for me, and save me from an oppressor, redeeming me from fierce men? Instruct me, and I shall be silent. Make me understand where I have erred. How eloquent is upright talk, but what result have any of you proven? Do you believe that mere words can convince? Empty talk is so much wind. You cast anger upon an orphan. You dig a trap against your friend. Now be so good as to turn to me. See if I speak falsely before you. Please reconsider and see that there is no dishonesty. Reconsider again. I am right. Is there a dishonesty upon my tongue? Can my palate not discern folly? Chapter 7. Behold, a man has allotted time upon the earth. His days are like those of a hired hand. Like a slave, he awaits the evening shade. Like a hired hand longs for his wages. So was I allotted months of frustration, and nights of misery were assigned to me. When I lie down, I say, when will I rise and the night depart? And I have my fill of tossing and turning until dawn. My flesh is clothed with maggots and clumps of dirt. My skin is cracked and dissolved. My days fly faster than the weaver's shuttle, and have ended in hopelessness. Remember that my life is like the wind, and my eyes will never again see goodness. The eyes of my observers will not see me. Your eyes are upon me, but I am no more. As a cloud disperses and is gone, so does one who descends to the grave not rise. He will not return again to his home. Nevermore will his community know him. As for me, I will not muzzle my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will express myself in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or a sea giant that you put me under guard? If I say my bed will console me, my counsel ease my pain. You shatter me with dreams and terrify me with visions. My soul would prefer strangulation, death over survival of my bones. I am disgusted. I shall not live forever. Leave me alone, for my days are as nothing. What is man that you exalt him, that you turn your attention to him, that you inspect him every morning and observe him every moment? It is so long since you ignored me. You do not leave me alone long enough to swallow my own spittle. If I sin, how have I affected you, O guardian of man? Why make me your target so that I become a burden to myself? Why do you not forgive my sin and pardon my iniquity? For soon I will lie down in the dust. You will search for me, but I will be no more. Shalom, Israel. We're in chapter 8 now. Bildad, the Shuhite, then spoke up and said, how long will you say such things? The words of your mouth are a powerful wind. Would Elohim prefer justice? Would the Almighty prefer righteousness? When your sons sinned against him, he delivered them into the hand of their own transgression. If you will beseech Elohim and implore to the Almighty, if you will be pure and upright, he would even now recall your merits for you and make whole the abode of your righteousness. Then, though your beginning was insignificant, your end will flourish exceedingly. Inquire now of an earlier generation and prepare yourself for the investigation of their fathers. For we are but since yesterday, so we do not know. Our days upon the earth are but a shadow. Behold, they will instruct you, they will tell you, and extract words from their heart. Can reeds grow without a swamp? Can a marshland thrive without water? While it is still fresh, it will not snap, yet it withers before any other grass. So with the ways of all who forget Elohim, the hope of the hypocrite is doomed. His reliance is cut down. His trust is a spider web. He leans on his own house, but it does not stand. He holds on to it, but it does not remain. He is, I don't like the word moist. I say damp. Moist sounds a little fruity. He is damp before the sun's heat, and his shoots spread out in his garden. His roots are thickly entangled on a mound. He searches out a house of stone, but when he is uprooted from his place, it denies him, saying, I never saw you. Such is the joy of his way, and from earth others will sprout. For Elohim does not detest the wholesome, nor support the hand of evildoers, until he will fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouting for joy. Your enemies will be covered with disgrace, and the tents of the wicked will be no more. Chapter 9. Job then spoke up and said, Truly I know that is so. How can a man be righteous with Elohim? If he would want to contend with him, he would not reply even once in 1,000. He is wise of heart and immensely strong. Whoever stubbornly opposed him and remained whole, it is he who uproots mountains and people do not know, when he overturns them in his anger, who shakes the earth from its place and its pillars tremble, who gives the command to the sun and it does not shine, and seals up the stars, who alone stretches out the heavens and treads upon the crest of the sea, who made Ursa Minor, Orion and Pleiades, and the southern constellations, who performs great deeds that are beyond comprehension and wonders beyond number. If he will pass before me, I will not see him. He will move across, and I will not perceive him. If he will suddenly strike, who could restrain him? Who could say to him, What are you doing? Elohim does not turn back his anger. Bent underneath him are those who assist the arrogant. Could I then answer him or choose to argue with him? Even if I were right, I would not speak up, nor would I implore my judge. If I would cry out and he would answer me, I would not believe that he would hear my voice. He shattered me in a tempest. He multiplied my wounds without cause. He does not let me refresh my spirit, but satiates me with bitterness. If it is for strength, behold, he is mighty. But if it is for justice, who can plead on my behalf? Even if I am righteous, my mouth will condemn me. If I am innocent, it will pronounce me crooked. I am innocent, yet I cannot know rest. I am disgusted with my life. It is all the same. Therefore I say, he destroys the blameless with the wicked. When the rod would slay the wicked one suddenly, he would mock the tribulation of the innocent. The earth is delivered into the hands of the wicked one, who covers the faces of its judges. Boy, the camps love that verse. If this is not so then who does this? My days pass more swiftly than a runner. They have run away without seeing goodness. They have passed by with the ships of Ebed, like an eagle swooping after prey. Even if I would say, I will forget my grieving, I will renounce my anger and show fortitude. I fear all my sorrows. I know that you will not acquit me. I will be found guilty, so why should I weary myself for nothing? Though I will wash myself in melted snow, and I will cleanse my hands with soap, you would immerse me in the pit. My very clothes would loathe me. For you are not a mortal as I am, whom I could answer, so that we could go together for judgment. Then in no arbiter, then is no arbiter between us, who might impose his authority upon us both. Were he to remove his rod from me, and his terror not frighten me, I will speak out and not fear him. For this is not how I perceive myself. My soul is disgusted with my life. I will load my grief upon myself, and I speak out in the bitterness of my soul. I say to Elohim, do not condemn me. Tell me why you contend with me. Does it befit you to plunder, that you despise the labor of your hands, but glow upon the schemes of the wicked? Do you have eyes of flesh? Do you see me as a man sees? Are your days like a person's days? Are your years like a man's days? That you search out my iniquity and seek my transgression? You know that I will not be found guilty, yet none can save from your hand. Your hands made me and fashioned me. Altogether all around, yet you devour me. Remember, please, that you molded me like clay, and that you will return me to the dust. Behold, you poured me out like milk, and curdled me like cheese. You clothed me with skin and flesh. You covered me with bones and sinews. You granted me life and were kind to me, and your ordinances protected my spirit. Although you have hidden this in your heart, I know that this is still with you. If I have sinned and you scrutinize me, then do not cleanse me of my transgression. If I have been guilty, woe to me. And if I am innocent, I should not raise my head, for I am satiated with disgrace and see my misery. It has become important to you. You hunt me as if I were a lion's whelp, and you repeatedly judge me severely. You always bring new witnesses against me, and you magnify your anger against me. The legion takes turns with me. Why did you remove me from the womb? If only I had expired and no eye had ever seen me. As though I had never existed, I would have been brought from the womb to the grave. Behold, my days are few, so desist. Remove yourself from me, and I will regain my strength for a while, before I go and never return, to the land of darkness and the shadow of death, the land whose darkness is like pitch blackness, a shadow of death and without order, whose very light is like pitch blackness. Chapter 11. Zophar the Naamathite then spoke up and said, should an effusive speaker not be answered? Is an eloquent orator correct? Your fabrications strike men dumb. You scoff, and no one ridicules you. You say, my teaching is pure. I am virtuous in your eyes. But if Elohim will speak and open his lips to you, he will relate to you hidden recesses of wisdom, for his sagacity is manifold. Know then that Elohim extracts from you less than your iniquities. Can you achieve an understanding of Elohim? Can you fathom the extent of the Almighty? It is like the heights of heaven. What can you do to understand? It is deeper than the pit. What can you know? Its measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he were to cause death or to aggrieve, and then convene the heavenly beings, who could challenge him? For he discerns deceitful people. He sees iniquity, though he seems not to notice. Let the hollow man acquire a heart. Let one who is like a wild ass be reborn as a man. If you will focus your heart and spread forth your hands to him, if there is iniquity in your hand, put it far away. Let not sin dwell in your tent. Then you will lift your face without blemish. You will be steadfast and never fear. Then you will forget misery. You will remember it as water flow by. Your fate will be brighter than the noon. It will glimmer like the morning. You will be confident, for there will be hope. You will lie down entrenched in security. You will repose with none to make you afraid, and many people will seek your favor. The eyes of the wicked will look with longing. Haven will be denied them. Their hope will become despair. Chapter 12. Jonan spoke up and said, truly you are the many, but will wisdom expire with you? I, like you, also possess an understanding heart. I am not inferior to you. Who does not know such things? I have become like one who is a laughingstock to his fellow. I am one who calls out to Elohim and he answers him. The wholesome, righteous one is a laughingstock, a torch of scorn to the one who is complacent in his thoughts. He is destined to be among those whose feet slip. The tents of robbers are tranquil, and there is security for those who anger Elohim, and to whomever's hand Elohim brings it. Please ask the behemoth, however, and it will teach you, the bird of the heavens, and it will tell you, or speak to the earth, and it will teach you. The fish of the sea will report to you. Who can I know from all these things that the hand of Elohim made these? That in his hand is the soul of every living thing and the spirit of all mankind. Can the ear not discern words as the palate tastes food? In the aged is wisdom, and in length of days understanding, that with him are wisdom and might. His are counsel and understanding. Behold, he demolishes, and it cannot be rebuilt. He locks the door on a man, and it cannot be opened. Behold, he holds back the waters, and they dry up. He sends them forth, and they overturn the land. With him are might and sagacity. His are the deceived one and the deceiver. He leads counsels to folly and makes judges irrational. He loosens the yoke of kings and fastens a belt about their loins. He leads ministers to folly and subverts the mighty. He distorts the utterances of the trustworthy and takes reason away from the elders. He pours scorn upon nobles and loosens the girdle of the strong. He reveals deep mysteries from the darkness and brings the shadow of death out into the light. He exalts nations and then destroys them. He spreads out nations and then leads them away. He removes wisdom from the leaders of common people and causes them to wander in a pathless wasteland. They grope in darkness and not in light. He makes them stagger like a drunkard. Chapter 13. Behold, my eye has seen everything, my ear has heard and understood it. What you know, I know as well. I am not inferior to you. However, I speak to the Almighty. I shall speak to the Almighty. I desire to argue with Elohim, but you are concoctors of falsehood, worthless healers, all of you. Who would grant that you fall utterly silent? That would be a wise thing for you. Hear my argument, if you will, and hearken to the contentions of my lips. Will you speak dishonestly on Elohim's behalf? Will you speak deceitfully for his sake? Will you flatter him? Will you contend on Elohim's behalf? Will all be well when he scrutinizes you? Will you make a jest of him as you would make a jest of a man? He will surely admonish you. Will you venerate him when you are in his private chamber? Surely his exaltedness will terrify you. His fear will fall upon you. Your remembrance will be likened to ashes, your stature to lumps of clay. So be silent toward me, and I shall speak. Let anything that comes pass over me. Why should I carry my flesh with my teeth, and put my life in my hand? Were he to kill me, I would still yearn for him, but I would justify my ways before him. He will also be my salvation, but a hypocrite will not come before him. Hear well my words, and let my expression be in your ears. Behold, I have arranged my argument. I know that I will be vindicated. Who is he that will contend with me? Were I to keep silent now, I would expire. Just do not do these two things to me, and I will not conceal myself from your presence. Remove your hand from upon me, and let not fear of you terrify me. Call out, and I will answer, or else let me speak, and you respond. How many iniquities and sins have I? Apprise me of my transgression and my sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me as an enemy unto you? Do you frighten a driven leaf, or chase dry straw, that you record rebelliousness about me and ascribe me to the sins of my youth, that you place my feet in fetters, scrutinize all my ways, and inscribe my very footsteps? When after all, it will wear out like rot, like a garment that a moth has consumed. Chapter 14, Shalom Key. A man born of a woman has a short lifespan and is sated with anxiety. He emerges like a blossom and is then cut down. He flees like a shadow and does not endure. Do you fix your eyes even upon such a being, that you bring me to judgment with you? Who can produce purity from impurity? No one. If his days are predetermined and the number of his months is with you, and you have made his limits which he cannot surpass, then turn away from him and let his pain be relieved, until like a hired hand he craves the end of his day. For there is hope for a tree. Even if is felled, it can still renew itself, and its branching will not cease. Were its roots to become old in the ground, and its trunk to die in the dirt, with but a whiff of water it will blossom and generate branches like a sapling. But a man dies, he becomes feeble, a person perishes, and then where is he? As water flows from a sea, as the river becomes arid and dry, so a man lies down and does not rise. They do not awaken until the heavens are no more. They will not be aroused from their slumber. If only you would hide me in the pit, conceal me until your anger subsides, set a fixed time for me, and then remember me. When a man dies, will he live again? Throughout the days of my lifespan, I long for life, until the time of my passing comes. Call out, and I will answer you. Cherish your handiwork, for now you count my steps. You have no patience for my sins. My transgressions are sealed in a pouch, and you cling to my iniquity. In truth, a collapsing mountain will produce grain. So too a rock torn from its place. Stones are worn away by water. It washes them into dirt that produces its own aftergrowth. But you have destroyed man's hope. You overwhelm him forever, and he passes away. You change his countenance and then sent him away. Then when his sons attain honor, he will not know it. When they suffer, he will not discern them. He feels only the pain of his flesh, and his soul will mourn over him. 15. Eliphaz the Temanite then spoke up and said, should a wise man respond with blustery knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind? Should he argue with unavailing expressions, or with words that do no good? So too you have undermined all, and have diminished prayer before Elohim. For your sinfulness teaches your mouth. You should have chosen the language of the clever. Let your own mouth condemn you, not I. Let your own lips testify against you. Were you born before Adam, or created before the hills? Are you privy to Elohim's counsel? Have you diminished wisdom from everyone else and taken it all for yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that is beyond us? Even the white-haired, even the aged are among us, more advanced in age than your father. Do you deem inadequate Elohim's consolations, the bounty he had graciously granted you? What does your heart teach you? What do your eyes intimate? That you turn your bluster toward Elohim and bring such words out your mouth. What is a human being that he might be vindicated? Can one born of woman ever be considered righteous? Behold, he cannot have faith even in his holy beings, and the hosts of heaven are not pure in his eyes. Surely it is so for the loathsome and tainted one, man who drinks iniquity like water. Let me tell you something. Listen to me. I will recount what I have seen. Wise men say it was not withheld from their fathers. To them alone the land was given. No stranger passed among them. All the days of the wicked he is anguished. The number of years allotted the oppressor. Sounds of terror are in his ears. When he is at peace, the robber befalls him. He should not believe that he will return from the darkness, for he is destined for the sword. He wanders about for food. Where is it? He realizes that the day of darkness is ready, at hand. Distress and travail terrify him. They surround him like a king destined for the flames of Gehinnom. For he turned his hand against Elohim and tried to overpower the Almighty. He charges at him with an upright neck within the massive bulk of his shield. When he covers his face with his fat and forms rows of blubber on his loins, when he dwells in destroyed cities and deserted houses that have been destined to become heaps, he will not be rich, his wealth will not endure, and their aspirations will not touch the ground. He will not shake off darkness, a flame will dry up his tender branches, and it will be gone by the breath of his mouth. He who is misled by nothingness does not believe that nothingness will be his final reward. He will be stunted before his time, and his canopy will not flourish. He will scatter his unripe fruit like a vine, and shed his blossoms like an olive tree. For the hypocrite's clan will be forlorn. Fire will consume the tents of bribery, conceiving iniquity and bearing destruction. Their belly prepares deceit. 16. Job then spoke up and said, I have heard many such things. You are all worthless consolers. Is there an end to the words of bluster? What compels you to answer? I am as able to speak as you. Were you in my place, I would compose words over you and shake my head over you. I would encourage you with my mouth, and the movement of my lips would stop. If I speak, my pain will not cease, and if I keep silent, what will leave me? Oh, how is it? Oh, how it has wearied me. You shocked my entire clan into silence. You wizened me. It has become a witness against me. My weakened body has stood up against me and has given testimony to my face. His anger has torn at me. He has despised me. He has gnashed his teeth at me. My foe casts barbed glances at me. They opened their mouths against me. They contemptuously struck my cheeks. They joined in thronging against me. Elohim has handed me over to an evildoer, and he consoles me through the wicked. I was once serene, but he broke me into pieces. He grasped me by my neck and mangled me, and he stood me up as a target. His archers surrounded me. He sliced open my kidneys without mercy. He spilled my bile to the ground. He attacked me with one attack upon another. He charged at me like a warrior. I have sewn sackcloth for my scabs, and sullied my countenance with dirt. My face is wrinkled from weeping. Death's shadows are upon my eyelids, but for no iniquity in my hands, and my prayers were virtuous. O earth, do not conceal my blood. Let there not be a place for my screams. Even now my witness is in heaven, my attester is on high. O my orators, my friends, it is to Elohim that my eyes shed tears. If only a man could argue with Elohim, as a human being with his fellow. For my allotted years will come, and then I will embark on a path from which I will never return. 17. My spirit is devastated, my days have rushed by. Graves await me, except that these mocking men accompany me, and my eyes are constantly on their provocations. Give me your hand, be my guarantor. Who then will shake my hand? For you have blocked their hearts from intelligence, so you will not be exalted by them. Glibly glibly each talks with his fellows. May the eyes of his children look on with longing. He has made me a byword for nations. I have become the embodiment of hell to people. My eye has dimmed from anger. All my limbs have become like a shadow. Let the upright be appalled at this. Let the pure bestir themselves against the hypocrite. Let the righteous man hold fast to his path. Let the one with clean hands strengthen himself. Nevertheless, let them all reconsider. Come here, please, for I cannot find any wise man among you. My days have passed by. My thoughts, the legacies of my heart, have been cut down. They turn night into day. Daylight seems shortened before darkness. Since I crave that the grave be my home, I have made my bed in the darkness. I call out to the pit, you are my father, and to the maggots, my mother and sister. Where then is my hope? Who can discern my hope? Let my grave's limbs descend, that they might rest together upon the dust. 18. Bildad the Shuhite spoke up and said, until when? Put an end to words. First understand, and then we will talk. Why are we considered as a beast and obtuse in your eyes? You who tears himself apart in his anger, will the earth be abandoned for your sake? Will the rock be dislodged from his place? Indeed, the light of the wicked flickers out. The sparks of his fire will not shine. Light becomes darkness in his tent. His lamp will flicker out in his presence. His powerful strides will be constrained. His schemes will throw him down, for he is sent by his own feet into a net. He walks upon a snare. A trap will seize him by the heel. Bloodthirsty men will overpower him. Hidden in the ground is his rope. His snare is on the path. Demons terrify him on all sides. They will beat him to the ground under his feet. His offspring will go hungry. Calamity awaits his wife. The prince of death will devour the limbs of his skin. He will devour his branches. He will be torn from his wife, who has depended on him. She will march him off to the king of demons. She will dwell in his tent without him. Sulfur will be strewn upon his home. From below his roots will dry up, and from above his sproutlings will be lopped off. His memory will be lost from the land. He will remain without fame abroad. They will drive him from light to darkness and banish him from the inhabited world. He will have neither child nor grandchild among his people, no survivor in his habitations. The latter generations will be astounded at his fate, and the earlier generations will be seized by turmoil. Such is the fate of evildoers' dwellings. Such is a place that does not know Elohim. Shalom, Shakil. We're in chapter 19 right now. Job then spoke up and said, until when will you sadden my spirit and crush me with words? These 10 times you have humiliated me. Are you not ashamed of acting like strangers towards me? Even if I have erred, my error lodges within me. Although you tried to overwhelm me, By reproving me with my disgrace, know that Elohim has wronged me, for he has encircled me with his net. In truth, were I to protest against unfairness, I would not be answered. Were I to plead, there would be no justice. He has fenced in my way, and I cannot pass. He has set darkness upon my pathway. He has stripped my honor from me and removed the crown of my head. He has smashed me from all sides, and I have gone away. He has uprooted my hope like a tree. He has kindled his anger against me and regarded me like his foes. Together his legions advance. They pave their way towards me and encamp around my tent. He alienated my brothers from me. Those who knew me estranged themselves from me. My close ones stay away. My friends have forgotten me. Those who live in my house and my maidservants regard me as a stranger. I have become an alien in their eyes. I call out to my servant, but he does not answer, though I beg him with my own mouth. My breath is repulsive to my wife. I must ingratiate myself to my offspring. Even the youth despise me. When I rise, they talk about me. All my confidants detest me. Those I those I loved have turned against me. My bones cling to my skin and flesh. I have escaped with the skin of my teeth. Pity me, O you, my friends, for the hand of Elohim has afflicted me. Why do you pursue me as does Elohim? Have you not been sated with my flesh? If only my words will be written down. If only they will be inscribed in a book with an iron stylus and lead engraved forever on rock. But I know that my Redeemer lives, and that he will be the final one remaining upon the earth. After my skin was stricken, they pierced me with this bombast, and I see the judgment of Elohim from my flesh. I see it for myself. My eyes have seen it, and not a stranger's. My kidneys have been destroyed within me. Perhaps you should say, why do we beleaguer him? What is the root of the matter within me? You should fear the sword, for wrath against sin brings the sword, that you may know that there is punishment. Hold on, I'm gonna go back to 9 real quick. Job 19. I wanted to see what word for crown was there when I got stripped off his head. It was a Torah. Torah. So I guess it's a literal crown. The Torah. It doesn't say. Let me see what it's used for. Of king and queen, crown of your splendor. Let's see. I guess it depends on the context. It wasn't a Nazir though. All right, I'll come back to that one too. Chapter 20. Zophar the Naamathite then spoke up and said, therefore my thoughts compel me to answer, because my silence is within me. I have been listening to insulting reproofs, and a spirit of my understanding prods me to answer. Do you know everything since time began, from when Adam was placed on the earth? For the exaltation of the wicked is but recent. The happiness of the hypocrite lasts but a moment. Though his eminence ascends to heaven, and his head touches the clouds, he will perish forever like his own dung. Those who have seen him will ask, where is he? He will fly away like a dream, and they will not find him. He will be hustled away like a nighttime vision. The eye that beheld him will not see him again. The people of his place will not observe him again. His children must appease the poor, and his hands must make restitution for his robbery. His power filled his youth, but it will all lie with him in the dirt. When an evil idea becomes sweet in his mouth, he hides it under his tongue. He will cherish it, never abandoning it. He will keep it inside his palate, but his food will twist in his innards. The bitter venom of apes is inside him. He devoured wealth, but will disgorge it. Elohim will purge it from his gut. He will suck the poison of asps. A cobra's tongue will kill him. He will not see the streams, the rivers, the brooks of honey and cream. He returns his victim's toil and does not devour it. In exchange for his dishonest wealth, he will have no exaltation. Because he smashed the poor and laid them waste, he has stolen their house, but he did not build it. Because he never knew tranquility in his stomach, he will not escape it with his desire. He will not escape with his desire. There was nothing left of his food, therefore he will not achieve his prosperity. After his satiety had been gained, misfortune will strike him. The hand of all the weary will overtake him. Elohim will dispatch his burning wrath against him. It will fill his stomach. He will shower his warfare upon him. He may flee from weapons of iron, but a bow of brass will pierce him. He has drawn his weapon. It leaves its sheath. The flash of his bitter terror overwhelms him with fright. The total darkness lies in wait for his hidden treasures. An unfanned fire will consume him. Misfortune will befall the survivor in his tent. The heavens will reveal his sin. The land will rise up against him. The produce of his house will be exiled, swept away on the day of his anger. This is the wicked man's portion from Elohim, and the legacy assigned him by Elohim. 21. Then Job spoke up and said, "Listen carefully to my word, and let this be your consolation for me. Bear with me, and I will speak. After I have spoken, you may mock. Is my complaint directed to a man? So why should I not be impatient? Turn your attention to me and be astonished. Set your hand on your mouth. When I recall this matter, I am confounded. Trembling grips my flesh. Why do the wicked live, become powerful, and even amass fortunes? Their offspring are well established before them. With them and their descendants are before their eyes. Their homes are peaceful, safe from fear. The rod of Elohim is not against them. His bull impregnates without fail. His cow gives birth and does not miscarry. They send out their young ones carefree as sheep. Their children prance about. They raise their voices like a drum and a harp. They rejoice at the sound of the flute. They spend their days with good fortune, and they descend to the grave in a moment. They said to Elohim, "Go away from us. We have no desire to know your ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? What will we gain if we pray to him? Behold, is not their fortune good? If it's not their good fortune in their hand, yet the counsel of the wicked was far from me. How long? But the lamp of the wicked shall die out, and their downfall come upon them. May Elohim apportion their due in his anger. May they be like straw before the wind and like chaff snatched by a tempest. Should Elohim store away his affliction for his children? Let him pay it to himself, that he should know his punishment. Let his own eyes see his ruination, and let him drink of the Almighty's wrath. For what is his interest in the house after he dies, in his household after he dies, when the number of his months have been cut off? Can one teach knowledge to Elohim? He who judges the lofty, one person dies in unimpaired perfection, completely peaceful and serene, his breast full of milk and the marrow of his bones damp, while someone else dies with a bitter soul, not having tasted good fortune. Together they will lie in the dirt, and maggots will cover them. Behold, I know your thoughts, the schemes that you wrongfully plot. For you say, where is the house of this generous one? And where is the tent of wicked people's dwellings? Did you not inquire of wayfarers? Do you not ignore their testimonies? For evil is withheld until the day of calamity, until the day when sinners are brought to face Elohim's fury. Who is it who can be told to his face about Elohim's ways, about all he has done, about the one who will requite his deeds? He is brought to the grave and lies forever upon a mount of dirt. The clumps of dirt in the valley become sweet to him. All men are drawn after him and before him without number. How can you console me with meaningless words? Your responses remain a betrayal. 22. Eliphaz the Temanite then spoke up and said, does man benefit Elohim when he learns wisdom from people? Does the Almighty care if you are right, or does he gain if you are if you perfect in your, or does he gain if you perfect your ways? Would fear of you make him contend with you or enter into judgment with you? Is your evil not great? And is there no end to your sins? For you exact collateral from your brethren without due cause, and stripped of the garments of the ill clad. You did not give drinking water to the exalted, and you withheld bread from the hungry. Should the land belong to a strong armed man, or should prestigious people settle in it? You drove away widows empty handed and crushed the arms of orphans. Therefore you are surrounded by snares, and sudden fear confounds you. Perhaps you cannot see in darkness, or a torrent of water covers you, that you say, is not Elohim in the heights of the heavens? You look to the tops of the stars, which are lofty, and you say, what does Elohim know? Can he judge through thick cloud? The clouds block him so he cannot see. He walks about in a heavenly orbit. Will you keep the traditional path, where walked men of falsehood, who were cut down before their time, whose foundation was swept away by a river, who said to Elohim, go away from us, and what can Elohim do to them? Yet it was he who filled their houses with bounty. But the counsel of the wicked is far from me. Let the righteous see this and rejoice. Let the innocent man scoff at them. Has not their stature been destroyed and their pride consumed by fire? Learn now to go with him, and you will stay whole. Through these words, goodness will come to you. Accept guidance, if you will, from his mouth, and place his utterances in your heart. If you will return to the Almighty, you will be built up. If you will drive iniquity from your tent, then you would have a stronghold on the earth, and no fear among the rocks of the brooks. Your stronghold will be powerful, and you would have an abundance of money. Then you would delight in the Almighty, and you would raise your face to Elohim. You would entreat him, and he would hear you, and you would fulfill your vows. You would utter a decree, and it would be done, and the light would shine upon your ways. When people are downtrodden, you will say, arise, and he will save those with downcast eyes. Those who are not innocent will be saved through the pureness of your hands. Highlight that. 23. Job then spoke up and said, today my speech is bitter. My hand is worse than my sigh. If only I knew how to find him, I would approach his seat. I would set out my case before him. I would fill my mouth with arguments. I would know what words he would answer me, and I would understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me through superior power? No, he would only direct himself to me. There my uprightness will be proven before him, and I will be forever released from my judge. Behold, I go to the east, he is not there. To the west, I cannot discern him. Though he created the north, I do not see him there. He cloaked the south, so I cannot see him. For he knows the way that is mine. He has scrutinized me, and I have emerged like gold. My feet have held fast in his footsteps. I kept his way, and have not strayed. I do not move away from the commandments of his lips. I have cherished the words of his mouth more than my sustenance. He is unique, and who can contradict him? His soul desires, and he does. For he will complete my just allotment, and with him are many such things. Therefore I am confounded by his presence. When I contemplate this, I am terrified of him. Elohim has made my heart faint. The Almighty has confounded me, because I was not cut off before this darkness, and because he did not cover the blackness from before me. 24. Why could not time why could not time spans have been hidden from the Almighty? And why do those who know him not comprehend his days? People move boundary markers. They rob a flock and graze it for themselves. They carry off the donkeys of orphans. They exact the ox of a widow as collateral. They steer the needy off the road. Together, the poor of the land go into hiding. Behold, like wild asses in the wilderness, they go out for their labor, searching for prey. The desert provides him food for his lads. They reap produce in the field. The wicked denude the vineyard. They let the naked spend the night unclothed, without a garment against the cold. They become drenched from the mountain's flow, clinging to a rock for the lack of shelter. The wicked tear an orphan from the breast. They take collateral from off the backs of the poor. They let the naked go without clothing. They carry away a sheaf from the hungry. Between the rows of olives, they produce oil and they trample vintages. And yet they go thirsty. From the city, the populace groans and the souls of the slain cry out. But Elohim does not lay guilt. They were among those who rebel against daylight, not recognizing his ways nor settling in his pathways. At the light, the murderer arises to kill the poor and destitute, and at night he acts as a thief. The adulterer's eyes awaits the night, saying, "No eye will see me," and he applies himself to sin in the concealment, in darkness, burrowing into houses. By the day they seal themselves shut, they do not know daylight, for for both the morning is the shadow of death for them, for they recognize the shadow of death. He glides swiftly as on the water's surface. Their portion is the land forsaken. He does not turn to the way of the vineyards. As drought and heat snatch melting snow, so the grave snatches sinners. The womb that bore him will forget him. He will be sweet to maggots, never more to be remembered. Wickedness will be broken like a tree. He oppresses the barren woman who cannot give birth, and will not benefit the widow. Therefore, Elohim will sweep away each of the powerful ones with his might. He will arise one day and not believe that he will live. Elohim grants him security, and he relies on it. But his eyes are fixed on their ways. They are exalted briefly, and then they are gone. They are crushed, like all who are swept away, and they are snapped off like the top of a stalk. Is this not so? Then who can prove me false and make my words into nothing? 25. Bildad the Shuhite then spoke up and said, Dominion and dread are with him. He makes peace in his heights. Is there a number for his legions? Upon whom does his light not shine? How can man be considered righteous before Elohim? How can one born of woman be considered pure? Behold, the moon passed by and cast no light, and the stars are not pure in his eyes. How much more so man, who is like a maggot, and a mortal, who is like a worm? 26. Job then spoke up and said, How have you helped the one who has no strength? How have you saved the arm that has no power? What have you advised the one who has no wisdom? Yet you have dispensed counsel so liberally. To whom have you told new words? Whose breath has gone out from you? Will the dead spirits who are underneath the water be stirred, or those who dwell there? The grave is naked before him, and there is no covering for doom. He spreads out the north over a void. He suspends the earth upon nothingness. He bundles waters in his clouds. Yet the cloud does not burst under them. He puts walls around the throne. He spread out his cloud over it. He drew a boundary around the water's edge until light and darkness come to an end. The pillars of the heavens shudder and are astounded by his rebuke. With his strength, he divides the ocean, and with his understanding, he crushes its pride. By his breath, the heavens were spread. His hand fashioned the earth girdling serpent. Behold, these are but the tip of his ways. What is the least we can understand about him? Who can fathom the thunder of his mighty deeds? 27. Damn, dog. 27. Job continued declaiming his parable and said, As Elohim lives, I swear that he has removed justice from me, and the Almighty has embittered my soul. But as long as my soul is within me and the spirit of Elohim is in my nostrils, my lips shall not speak iniquity, and my tongue shall not utter deceit. Far be it from me until I perish to say you are right. I will not renounce my claim of innocence for myself. I have held fast to my righteousness, and I will not release it. My heart has never embarrassed me. May my enemy be treated like the wicked, and those who rise up against me like the iniquitous. For what is the hypocrite's hope though he gains a profit, for surely Elohim will cast away his soul. Will Elohim heed his cry when misfortune befalls him? Can he delight in the Almighty, calling on Elohim at all times? I will teach you what is in Elohim's hand. I will not withhold from you that which is with the Almighty. Behold, all you have seen it. So why is it that you embrace folly? This is the wicked man's portion with Elohim, and the legacy that the brutal men will take from the Almighty. If his children multiply, it is for the sword. His offspring will not be sated with food. Those who survive him will be buried in death, and his widows will not weep. Though he may amass money like dirt and prepare a wardrobe as abundant as clay, he may prepare, but a righteous man will wear it, and a virtuous man will apportion his money. He builds his home like that of a moth, like the booth of a watchman makes. A rich man may be bedridden, but not gathered in. When he opens his eyes, it is gone. Fright overcomes him like flooding water. A tempest abducts him by night. An east wind carries him, and he goes away. It blows him from his place. He casts misfortune upon him, and will not show mercy. From his hand he desperately flees. People from his place will clap their hands over him and whistle over him. Shalom, treasure. We're in chapter 28 now. You missed a good Proverbs reading last night. 28. For there is a source for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the soil, and copper is smelted from stone. He sets a limit to the darkness, and he investigates the end of everything, the source of gloom and the shadow of death. A river bursts forth from its normal flow to where it is unknown to human feet. It rises and surges over people. There was a land where food once grew, but its place was transformed, resembling fire. It was a place whose stones were sapphires, and it had dust of gold on a route not known to the buzzard, that the vulture's eye is not seen. Lions' whelps did not traverse it, and lions did not pass over it. But Elohim stretched out his hand to the flint and overturned mountains from the root. He split open river channels in the rocks. His eyes saw every precious thing. From the waters of the deep he fashioned rivers. He brings secret things out into the light. But as for wisdom, where can it be found? Which is the place of understanding. Mankind does not know its worth. It cannot be found in the land of the living. The deaf says, it is not in me, and the sea says, it is not with me. Precious gold cannot be exchanged for it, and its price cannot be weighed in silver. It cannot be compared to Ophir gold, or to precious Shoham or sapphire. Gold and glass cannot approximate it, nor can its exchange be in golden articles. Corals and crystal cannot be considered. The pursuit of wisdom is more precious than pearls. The Piddah of Cush cannot approximate it. The purest gold cannot be compared to it. Wisdom, from where does it come? Which is the place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living things, and is concealed from the bird of the heavens. Doom and death say, with our ears we have heard its reputation. Only Elohim understands its way, and he knows its place. For he peers to the ends of the world. He sees what is under the entire heavens, making a prescribed weight for the wind, apportioning water with a measure, when he makes a set alignment for the rain, and a path for the clouds of thunder. Then he looked and recorded it, he prepared it and perfected it. And he said to man, behold, the fear of Adonai is wisdom, and refraining from evil is understanding. Yeah, Torah, wisdom, all that is more valuable than any riches you can have. Even Solomon will tell you that. Like, all of it was vanity. Because what good is all that if you're a shaitan to the Most High, or he's shaitan to you, and you're not under his protection, or you have no redemption from him? It's vanity. It's like some people, they win the lottery. It'd be like It'd be like it'd be the dumbest people too that win the lottery. Like I seen this lady, or I don't know if she won the lottery, but she got a somehow she had a $6 billion fortune or something like that, and she wanted instead of keeping it, she gave it away to the government to in her excuse was giving it to the government to basically for taxes or something like that, to reduce taxes on people, which we know damn well they're not going to do that. Even who was it, Nixon? No, it was Reagan. And in '84, Reagan in his Commission Act, it states that 100% of income tax is devoured, absorbed by their debt. So like that's why our roads are still fucked up. They don't give a damn. And people will know that taxes are even taxes if you like know the blacks laws and the um in our financial literacy, which they don't teach us in school. We know that taxes are really voluntary, but we sign our rights. We sign like we basically sign it, and well, they try to trap us from birth with our birth certificate and all that stuff. But back to people that like it be dumbass people that get these fortunes, right? That win these lotteries, and majority of the time they go broke within 3 to 5 years. Like you win a $40 million, $100 million lottery, and 3 to 5 years your ass is broke because you had riches but not wisdom. What good is all that if you don't know what to do with it? You could have built it down. See my ass, I won 40 mil. One, I'm turning 50% into gold and silver off rip. Buying land, building a community, a way to self-sustain, farm, growing crops, my own water irrigation system, shit like that. So even if I go broke, I'm lit. I can still feed myself and people. You know, investments, so that instead of wasting the shit on damn Lambos and Gucci belts and whatever the fuck else, you actually, you need wisdom. Somebody that's wise can do a lot more with less than somebody that has a lot but really don't have shit because their treasure is material, ephemeral things, but they don't have the wisdom that the Most High wants you to have. But yeah, 29. Job continued declaiming his parable and said, "If only I could be as in the earlier months, as in the days when Elohim will watch over me, when his lamp will shine over my head, and I would walk in darkness by his light. When I was in the days of my prime, when Elohim's mystery was above my tent, when the Almighty was still with me, with my attendants all around me, when my steps were bathed in cream, and the rocks would pour out pools of oil for me, when I would go out to the city gate atop the platform and set my seat in the town square. Youths would see me and conceal themselves. The aged would rise and stand. Ministers would withhold their words and place their hand to their mouth. The voice of leaders will be hidden. Their tongue will cleave to their palate. When an ear will hear me, it will praise me. When an eye will see me, it will vouch for me. For I will rescue a pauper from his wailing and an orphan who had no one to help him. The blessings of the forlorn will be upon me, and I will bring joyous song to a widow's heart. I donned righteousness, and it suited me. My justice was like a cloak and a headdress. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame. I was a father to the destitute. If I was ignorant of their grievance, I would investigate. I smashed the fangs of injustice and caused prey to be cast from its teeth. I said to myself, I will expire with my nest intact. I will live as long as the phoenix. My roots will be open to water, and dew will always dwell on my branches. My honor will always renew itself, and my bow will refresh itself in my hand. People will hear me with anticipation, await my counsel silently. After my word, nothing more was said. My speech will be pleasing to them. They would long for me as for rain, opening their mouth wide for the late rain. If I would joke with them, they would not believe it. They would not let my radiant face be diminished. I would choose their way. I would sit at their head. I would rest like a king among the troops, as one who consoles mourners. Shalom face. We are in chapter 30 right now, verse 1. But now they scoff at me, people younger in age than I, whose fathers I rejected from serving with my sheepdogs. Of what use was the strength of their hands to me? Their old age was utterly lost for them. They were lonely in privation and hunger. They would flee to the wilderness, a place of darkness, destruction, and desolation. They would scrape moss from trees, and juniper roots would be their food. They will be driven from the inside of cities, pursued like thieves by tumultuous cries, to dwell in the clefts of valleys, in holes in the dirt and rocks. They will bray among the trees, huddling among the brambles. Churlish people, people without names, too debased to have standing in the land. But now I've become their refrain. I have become a byword for them. They have despised me, distanced themselves from me, have not withheld spittle from my face. Elohim has loosened my bowstring and afflicted me. They have thrown off their harness from my presence. On my right, youngsters rise up. They push my feet away. They pave their destructive paths behind me. They have repudiated my virtuous pathways. They have helped with my downfall. These people whom no one has ever helped. They come as through a wide breach. They roll under the ruins. Demons turn against me. Evil chases away my nobility like the wind. My salvation has drifted away like a cloud. So now my soul pours itself upon me. My days of affliction seize me. By night my bones are packed from upon me, and my sinews have no rest. Its intensity makes me change my garments, girdling me like robe's collar, like my robe's collar. It has taught me to sit in clay. I am likened to dust and ashes. I cry out to you, but you do not answer me. When I stop, you scrutinize me. You turn to be cruel with me. No, you turn to be cruel to me. With the might of your hand, you despise me. You have cast me off to evil spirits and have suppressed me under them. Weakness melts me. For I knew that you would bring me to death, to the destination of all life. But let him not stretch out his hand in total fury. Though destruction is their lot, there is some relief. Did I not weep for the heavily burdened? Did I not sorrow for the destitute? I had hoped for goodness, but evil came. I had looked forward to light, but darkness came. My innards boiled and did not cease. Days of oppression that came toward me. I go about darkened, though not from the sun. I rise up in public and scream. I have become a brother to jackals, a friend to owls. My skin has become blackened upon me, and my bones have dried out from heat. My harp has turned from mourning, my flute to the sound of weepers. 31. I forged a covenant for my eyes, and I will not gaze at a maiden. Why then is this my portion from Elohim above, and the legacy of the Almighty from on high? Behold, calamity is for a perverse person, disaster for those who commit iniquity. Does he not see my ways and count all my footsteps? Whether I went with falsehood, or if my feet hurried to deceit? Let him weigh me in the scales of righteousness, then Elohim will know my integrity. If my steps ever veered from the proper way, or if my heart ever went after my eyes, or if anything ever clung to my hand, then may I sow and let another eat, and may my produce be uprooted. If my heart was ever seduced over a woman, or if I ever lay in wait at my neighbor's door, then may my wife grind for another man, and may strangers kneel over her. For that is licentiousness. That is an iniquity for the judges to punish, for it is a fire. It consumes unto doom, and it would uproot my produce. Hold up, this dog's starting to be annoying. Come on. Shalom, Doc. 31:13. If I ever spurned justice for my servants and maidservants when they contended with me, then what could I do when Elohim would rise up? When he would attend to me, what could I answer him? Did not the one who made me in the belly make him too? Was it not the one who prepared us in the womb? Never did I withhold the needs of the destitute, nor did I let a widow's eyes long in vain. Nor did I eat my bread in solitude, so that an orphan cannot eat from it. For it raised me since my youth as if it were a father, and I practiced it from my mother's womb. Did I ever see a forlorn person without a garment? Or was there ever a destitute person without clothing, whose loins would not bless me, who would not warm himself by the shearings of my sheep? If I ever raised my hands against an orphan, though I saw that I would be supported at the gate, then let my shoulder fall from his blade, and let my forearm be broken off from my upper arm. For the fear of Elohim's punishment was upon me, and I could not bear his burden. If I ever put my trust in gold, or ever said of jewels, this is my security. If I ever rejoiced because my wealth was great, or that my hand had attained much. If I ever saw the sun as it shone, or the moon has grown glorious, and my heart was seduced in secret, my hand pressed against my lips, that would also be an iniquity for a judge to punish. For I would have denied the Elohim above. Or if I ever rejoiced at the downfall of my enemy, or enthused when a misfortune befell him, for I did not let my palate sin, to request his life with a curse. Or if the people of my household did not say, if only we would get his flesh, we would never be sated. No sojourner ever slept outside. I opened my doors to the street. Or if I ever cover my sins as man does, hiding my transgression in my heart. For I used to strike a great multitude with all, but now the basest of families frightens me. I am silenced, unable to go out the door. Who will grant that someone will hear me? My desire is for the Almighty to answer me. Let whoever contends with me write a book. I will carry it on my shoulder, bind it as crowns upon myself. I will tell him the number of my steps. I will draw him close to me like a prince. If my land will shout out against me, or its furrows will weep in unison, if I have ever eaten its yield without payment, or embittered the soul of its owner, then in place of wheat may thorns emerge, and in place of barley weeds. Job's words ended. Chapter 32. These three men then stopped responding to Job, for they saw that he was righteous in his own eyes. The wrath of Elihu, son of Barakel, the Buzite of the family of Ram, flared up. His wrath flared up against Job for judging himself more righteous than Elohim. And his wrath flared up against his three friends because they had not found a proper response and had condemned Job. Elihu waited before addressing Job, for they were older in years than he. But when Elihu saw that there was no response in the mouths of the three men, his wrath flared. Elihu, son of Barakel, the Buzite, then spoke up and said, I am young in years, and you are elderly. Therefore I trembled and feared to express my opinion to you. I had thought that days speak out, let abundant years teach wisdom. But in truth, it is a spirit in a man. It is a spirit in man, and it is the soul from the Almighty that gives them understanding. It is not that great men are always wise, or that elders understand justice. Therefore I say, hear me. I too will express my opinion. Behold, I waited for your words. I gave ears to your wisdom, until you had searched for proper words. I contemplated you, and behold, there was no one to clarify for Job, no one among you to refute his statements. Do not say we have found wisdom, for Elohim, not man, has been smitten him. He did not direct his words to me, but I would not have answered him with your statements. They have become confounded and do not speak up anymore. Words have escaped them. So I waited, for they did not speak. They stood still and did not respond anymore. I too will speak up my portion. I too will express my opinion. For I am filled with words. The spirit inside of my belly oppresses me. Behold, my belly is like unopened wine, like new flagons about to split. Let me speak and I will feel relieved. I shall open my lips and speak up. Let me not show favor to any man, nor dissemble for any person. For I know not how to dissemble. For then my maker would consume me. 33. However, I beg you, Job, listen to However, I beg you, Job, listen to my words. Give ear to all my statements. Behold, I open my mouth now, but my tongue speaks with my palate. My pronouncements express the uprightness of my heart, and the knowledge of my lips speak clearly. The spirit of Elohim has made me, and the soul from the Almighty gives me life. If you can, answer me. State your case before me and stand firm. Behold, I represent Elohim as you requested, though I too am fashioned from clay. Behold, fear of me should not intimidate you. Let my authority not overwhelm you. Indeed, you said in my ears, and I heard in the sound of those words, I am innocent without sin. I am pure, and there is no transgression in me. Behold, he seeks pretexts against me. He considers me his enemy. He places my feet in fetters, scrutinizes all my paths. Behold, I will answer you in this you are incorrect. For Elohim is greater than man. Why do you complain against him that he does not answer all of man's statements? For Elohim speaks once and sees no need for twice. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when a deep sleep falls over people, during slumbers upon the bed, then he uncovers people's ears and seals their affliction, in order to divert a person from his planned action, and to suppress pride from man, thus sparing his soul from the grave and his life from perishing by the sword. And so he is afflicted with pain upon his bed, and upon the multitude of his strong bones. His being finds food loathsome, and his soul rejects enticing foods. His flesh is consumed from sight. His bulging bones become unseen. His soul approaches the grave, and his being the killer's. If there will be for someone but a single defending angel out of 1,000 to declare a man's uprightness on his behalf, then Elohim will be gracious to him and say, redeem him from going down to the grave. I have found him atonement. His flesh has revived from its trembling, and he will return his days of youthfulness. He entreats Elohim, and he accepts him. He appears before him in prayer, and he recompenses man for his righteousness. He then goes around the people and says, I have sinned, I have made crooked that which was straight, but to no avail. For Elohim absolved him from passing into the grave, so that his being might see the light. Behold, Elohim does all these things with man 2 or 3 times, to bring back his soul from the grave, to bask in the light of the living. Hearken, Job, and listen to me. Be still, and I will speak. If there are words, answer me, and speak, for I wish to vindicate you. If there are not, you listen to me. Be still, and I will teach you wisdom. I'm going to have to come back to that 2 or 3 times. Then you're saying he only saves somebody 2 or 3 times from the grave. I'm going to come back to that later. 34. Elihu then spoke up and said, hear my words, O wise men. Men of knowledge, give ear to me. For an ear can discern words as a palate can taste for eating. Let us choose judgment for ourselves. Let us decide among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I was righteous, and Elohim has taken away my justice. I claim my judgment was deceitful. My wound was grave without guilt. Who is a man like Job, who drinks scorn like water, who goes toward the company of workers of iniquity, to walk with men of wickedness, and who has said, a man has nothing to gain by pleasing Elohim. Therefore, you men with understanding hearts, listen to me. To do evil is sacrilegious to Elohim, and iniquity to the Almighty. For he repays the deeds of man, and causes man to find according to his conduct. Surely Elohim will not act wickedly, and the Almighty will not pervert justice. Who gave him command over the earth, and who placed the entire inhabited world under him? If he were to set his heart against someone, he would simply gather in his spirit and his soul to itself. All flesh would expire together, and man will return to the dust. But if you seek understanding, listen to this. Give ear to the sound of my words. Would Elohim heal someone who despises justice? Would you declare the mighty righteous one to be wicked? Can one say to a king, you are lawless, or to princes, wicked one? Surely not of the one who does not favor leaders, nor lets a noble be given recognition over a pauper, for they are all his handiwork. In one moment they die. In the middle of the night, the people fall into turmoil and pass away, and the mighty are removed without physical force. For his eyes are upon man's ways, and he sees all his steps. There is no darkness and no shadow of death where evildoers can be hidden. For he does not impose too much upon man, so that they could come before Elohim for justice. He smashes mighty men without calculation and sets up others in their place, because he knows their works. He turns over the night and crushes them. He strikes the wicked in their places, in the place of in the place of witnesses, because they turned away from following him and did not contemplate all his ways, causing the cry of the needy to come before him, and he hears the cry of the poor. When he grants a person serenity, who can cause that person turmoil? And when he hides his face from a person, who can take note of him? Upon a nation or upon an individual, all are alike. He removes the hypocrite from kingship, that the people not become ensnared. For can one say to Elohim, I have suffered enough, I wish no more harm? Besides what I see, you teach me. If I have done wrong, I will not continue. Must Elohim have your consent to punish, that you can reject it? Elohim says, will you choose and not I? Say now whatever you know. People of understanding heart say this to me, and the wise man listens to me. Job does not speak with knowledge, and his words are without intelligence. My desire is that Job be disproven forever, as a rebuttal for men of wrongdoing, for he adds rebellion to his error, by speaking so profusely among us, and utters too many pronouncements against Elohim. 35. Elihu then spoke up and said, do you consider this when you say, my righteousness is greater than Elohim's to be just? And when you say, what benefit is there for you in my righteousness? What does it avail me more than my sinfulness? I will reply with words to you and to your friends with you. Look at the heavens and see. Gaze at the skies that tower above you. If you have sinned, how have you affected him? If your transgressions multiply, what have you done to him? If you were righteous, what have you given him? Or what has he taken from your hand? Your wickedness is of concern to a man like yourself, and your righteousness to a human being. The wicked cause many victims to scream. They cry out because of the strong-armed oppressors. And none of them said, where is the Elohim who made me, who gives songs at night, who makes us more knowing than the beasts of the land, and makes us wiser than the birds of the sky? There they will cry out, but he will not answer, because of the pride of the evil ones. It will be only for naught, for Elohim will not listen, and the Almighty will not look. Although you may say that you cannot see him, yet there is judgment before him, and you should place your hope in him. So now know that his anger against you is comparatively nothing, as if he did not know the vastness of your guilt. Job opens his mouth with nonsense. He multiplies verbiage without knowledge. 36. Elihu continued and said, wait for me a bit and I will tell you, for there are more words on Elohim's behalf. I will raise my knowledge from afar. I will ascribe righteousness to my maker. For in truth, my words are not false. Elohim is perfect in his knowledge of you. Behold, Elohim is mighty and does not despise, and he is mighty in the strength of his heart. He will not keep the wicked alive. He will grant justice to the poor. He will not remove his eyes from a righteous man until he is on the throne with kings. He will seat them there forever, and they will become exalted. And if they are shackled in fetters, trapped in ropes of affliction, he thus informs them of their errant deeds and their transgressions, for they have become overpowering. He opened their ears to discipline and said that they should turn back from wrongdoing. If they will listen and serve him, then they will finish their days in goodness and their years in pleasantness. But if they will not listen, they will pass away by the sword and expire for lack of knowledge. And those with insincere hearts will bring on Elohim's anger. They shall not cry out to him when he afflicts them. Their soul will die amid turmoil, and their life among the promiscuous. But he will extricate a poor man from his sins through his poverty. and opened their ears through oppression. He has led you out as well from a constricted entrance into a broad place with no narrowness at its bottom, so that your table will be full of rich foods. So if you have been filled with the fate of a wicked man, this sentence and judgment will sustain you, lest Elohim's wrath lead you out, along with your affluence, and even a large ransom will not return you. Would your wealth avail you? Not in adversity, nor with all the power of your strength. Do not desire the night when peoples are cut down in their places. Be careful, do not turn to wrongdoing, for this is what you have chosen over submission. Behold, in his omnipotence, Elohim will raise up. Who can instruct as he does? Who could have designated his course for him? And who could have said, you have committed iniquity? So remember so that you will extol his works, of which men sing. All men have seen them. A person views it from afar. Behold, Elohim is mightier than we can know. The number of his years is beyond calculation. For he proliferates water droplets. Rain is distilled to form his clouds, so that the heavens may drip water, pouring it out over a multitude of people. Can a person even understand the spreading out of the thick cloud or the dark clouds of his canopy? Behold, he spreads his rain over it, and covers over the roots of the sea. For through them he judges peoples, and he gives food to people with abundance. He covers the cloud with rain, and commands it upon those who entreat him. Its thunder announces it, as it does the herd and even the dame. 37. Because of this, my heart trembles and jumps from its place. Listen as well. Listen well as in fury. He gives voice. Speech emanates from his mouth. Under all the heavens, he sends it forth. Its flash unto the ends of the earth. After that, a sound roars out, thunder in its majestic voice. He does not hold them back, for his sound is heard. Elohim thunders marvelously with his voice. He does wonders that we do not comprehend, for he says to the snow, be upon the ground, and also says this, to showers of light rain and showers of his mighty rains. He seals a judgment with the hand of every man, so that all people he has made may know. The beast then enters its lair and rests in its dens. A tempest emerges from the inner chamber, a cold weather from the constellations. By Elohim's breath he makes ice, and an expanse of water becomes solidified. Even when it is clear, he troubles thick cloud to form. He spreads out his rain clouds. Good reasons direct its movements. Cunningly it pursues its tasks, according to man's deeds, however he commands them upon the inhabited surface of the earth, whether for punishment or for the benefit of his land, or for kindness, he may supply you. Give ear to this, Job. Stop and contemplate the wonders of Elohim. Do you know how Elohim imposes upon the clouds and how he makes his rain cloud appear? Do you understand the spreading out of the clouds or the wonders of the one of perfect knowledge? Or why your clothes feel warm when the land is becalmed from the south? Did you stretch out the heavens with him to be as strong as a molten mirror? Let us know what we can say to him. We cannot prepare our case because of darkness. Must he be told when I speak? When a person says something need to be revealed? Thus they have never seen the light. They are like spots of cloud in the sky, which a wind comes and clears away. The golden sunshine has come because of the north wind. It is an awesome magnificence from Elohim. We do not find the Almighty to be overbearing in his strength. With justice and an abundance of kindness, he does not deal harshly. Therefore people fear him, for he is not impressed with those who are wise of heart. 38. Yahweh then responded to Job from out of the whirlwind and said, who is this who gives murky counsel, with words without knowledge? Gird your loins like a warrior, and I will ask you, and you will inform me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell if you know understanding. Who set its dimensions, if you know, or who stretched out a surveyor's line over it? Into what are its bases sunken, or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang in unison and all the heavenly beings shouted, as he dammed in the sea with both the doors as its flow emerged from the womb, when I put a cloud on it as a garment and the thick cloud as it swallowed it, and I constrained it with my limits, and I emplaced a bar in both the doors, and said, until here shall you go, and no further, and only here shall your ways flaunt their majesty. Did you ever in your life command the morning, or teach the dawn its place, to grasp the edges of the earth, and shake the wicked from it, as it changes itself, as a seal does the clay, as people come into being like the earth's garment, as light is withheld from the wicked, and the raised arm is broken? Have you penetrated the hidden depths of the sea, or gone to plumb the deep? Were the gates of death revealed to you? Have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you contemplated up, up to the wide expanses of the world? Tell if you know it all. What is the path where the light dwells, and darkness where is its place? That you may take it to its boundary, that you may understand the path of its home. Do you know? Because then you were already born, and the number of your days is so great. Have you come upon the storehouses of snow, or seen the storehouses of hail, which I have kept for times of travail, for a day of battle and war? Which is the way where light is dispersed, which is which the eastern sun spreads upon the land? Who fashions a channel for the torrent, or a path for thunder clouds, that it may rain upon a land without man, and in a wilderness in which there is no person, to sate desolation and wasteland, to make vegetation sprout forth? Does rain have a father? Who begot the dewdrops? From whose belly did the ice come forth? Who gave birth to the frost of heaven? Like a submerged stone, the waters are concealed, the very depths are imprisoned. Did you tie up the bonds of Pleiades, or unbind the cords of Orion? Did you ever take out the constellations in their times, or lead Ursa together with her children? Do you know the laws of heaven? Did you place its rule upon the land? Did you raise your voice to the clouds, so that a multitude of waters should drench you? Did you dispatch lightning bolts, so that they would go forth, and then say to you, here we are? Do you know who placed wisdom in the inners, or who imbued the heart with understanding? Who with wisdom make the heavens glisten, and who pours from the flagons of heaven? When dirt flows with the poured out rain, and clumps are stuck together, will you trap prey for a lion, or fill the needs of lion whelps? When they hunch over in their lairs, lie low in their den in wait? Who prepares nourishment for the raven, when its young ones call out to Elohim, helpless without food? 39. Do you know the time when the mountain goats give birth, or anticipate the labor pains of the gazelle? Did you count the months as they came to term? To know the moment of their hold on, I'm tripping. As they came, never mind. I was at the right spot. To know the moment of their birth, they crouch and expel their offspring. They rid themselves of their agonies. Their young become hardy and grow up in the wild. They go off and do not return to them. Who set the wild ass free, and who loosened the bonds of the wild donkey, for whom I designated the desert as his home, his habitats in the arid land? He scoffs at the city's tumult. He does not hear a driver's shouts. He searches out mountains and for his pasture and seeks every greenery. Would a wild ox be willing to serve you? Would he lodge by your feet and trow? Can you hitch a wild ox to the plow with his rope? Would he hoe valleys and behind you? Could you trust him, though his strength is great, and leave your labor to him? Could you rely on him to bring back your seed and gather your threshed grain? Shalom, Hazel. Hey, Hazel, if you want to finish it off when 39,
Chapter
13,
39.
chapter
Oh,
39, verse 13. You want to read from there? Yeah, my throat hurt. I gotta
no
go eat,
problem. One
get some
second.
drink. I appreciate
Chapter 39, verse what?
13. Or if you want to start from the top, don't matter.
Job 39, verse 13. Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath deprived her wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time she lifteth up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck in with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He paweth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and is not afflicted, neither turneth back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He said among the trumpets, Ha, ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains, and the shouting. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nests on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there she is. Moreover the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that proveth God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer it thee? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then the Lord, then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, Gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellence. Array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abase him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then I will also confess unto thee that thine right hand can save thee. Behold, now Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cadar, and sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass, his bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees, in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow, the willows of the brook encompass him. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and has not and hasted not. He trusted in that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh with his eyes, his nose pierceth through snares. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? He will make many supplications unto thee, and he will speak soft words unto thee. He will make a covenant with thee. Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even in the sight of him? None is so fierce that dares to stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Whoever who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come with him in his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up with his close seal, with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another, they stick together that they cannot be sundered. His by his neesings a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth the morning lamps and the sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, and out of his seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together, they are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. His part is as firm as stone, yea, as hard as a piece of nether milestone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of break-ins they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He that esteemeth irons as straw, and brass as rotten wood, the arrow cannot make him flee. Slingstones are turned with him into stubble, darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear, sharp stones under him. He spreads sharp pointed things upon mirror. He maketh deep boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path of shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon the earth there is not his like, who made is without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, that no thought can be withheld from thee. Who is who is that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uh, therefore have I under, uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me which I knew not. Fear, I beseech it thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard about thee by hearing of the ear, but now thou my eye seeth thee. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust and ashes. And it is so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks, 7 rams, and go to my servant Job. Offer up yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as the Lord commanded them. And the Lord also accepted Job. The Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all the brethren, and all the sisters, and all that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the later end of Job, and more than his beginning. For the Lord had forgotten that he had 14 sheep and 6,000 camels, and a yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemima, the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen Habach. And in all the land were no woman found so fair, the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job in 140 years, and saw his son and his son's sons, even four generations. So Job died, being old and full of days. Amen. So I just want to point out earlier in Job that it said that your beginnings will seem humble, and so prosperous will your future be. That's also in Job. So that's what that made me think of in the ending of this story.
Right, and his story is also like inspiration for anybody really going through some stuff and don't know why. But it's also a warning. Like I was talking about in the Proverbs room last night. Like there's a difference between there's a clear difference between the righteous and the wicked, but we have to be careful not to become self-righteous, where we think ourselves, where we exalt ourselves. It even says in somewhere in the Proverbs, let somebody else exalt you, not let your own lips exalt you. So we ought to be careful of becoming self-righteous and thinking that we can't be corrected, or that we are without sin, or we're immune to falling. And we ought to stay on point. And if we do slip, we gotta admit our faults, bring it to the Most High, repent, turn away from our vomit, never return to it again. Do the best we can, and you know, not let
Yes,
pride, not let
that
pride.
also reminds me of how in Job, when Job's friends came to comfort him, and they told him, "Now remember how you've encouraged many and you've instructed many, and now that trouble comes to you, you are dismayed." Remember that one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one stuck out too. Yeah, it's like you walk, you talk as you. It's like you talking. You're talking, but you're not walking. Basically, it's like you see, you're telling these people to this is how you get through this, but then it happens to you, and you're, now you're complaining, and now you need somebody to give you that same advice or lift you up.
Another verse that stuck out to me also was when he said that, oh shoot, what was it? Oh yeah, how painful are honest words.
Right, right. The truth hurts.
Yes, it does.
That is necessary though. They say, better or what's it saying? We just read it in Proverbs last night. Better is it's basically like better is rebuke of a friend
Oh
than
yes, the wounds of a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses.
right, right, right. Yeah, there's several verses that's like that kind of tie into that. And so yes, that's facts. Because a real person, a real friend is gonna tell you where you're fucking up at, and it's um we need to be open to constructive criticism. Not everything's an attack or hate or judgment or whatever. But sometimes we need to be judged. Sometimes we need to sit down and be like, hey, I can work on this, or we gotta look at ourselves.
Whereas an enemy would say, "Don't worry," and happily or easily send you on your way to destruction.
Right, right, right. He'll see he'll see a turd. You got a bird shit on your head, and you see it, and you just walking around with it all day. Real person's gonna be like, yo, you got some shit on your head. Somebody don't like you's gonna be like, yeah, nah, you look good, bro. Go, you good to go to the club. Meanwhile, you got a big old white turd on your head dripping down. Yeah, in layman's terms, trying to make it as simple as possible. But yeah, we gotta always be open to improvement. Iron sharpens iron, and seek perfection. Never think we got it entirely, because the only one that has it entirely is the Most High, is the Father, and the best we can ever do is try to emulate Him. But we're never gonna. Oh, I mean, I guess in the time today, we're never gonna attain that. Maybe when He puts that spirit on us to do it, maybe. But I mean, even then, we're never gonna be equal to Him. Nobody's ever gonna be equal to Him. So just do the best y'all can do.
And I also, another scripture that stuck out to me was when he cursed the day of his birth, and I don't know that, and then I like the first beginnings of that chapter, like where he cursed the day of his birth and the night that said I was conceived. May that light see utter darkness, and like anyone who curses days curse that day, and how he said because it did not close the wounds, it did not close the wounds on me. Why were their knees to receive me and breasts that I might be nursed? Because he feels like he'll end his days in shame.
Right. That sounded like Jeremiah too. He was saying the same thing. He was going through it. He was going through it, man. I show you, even the most righteous people, or the people that we think are the most righteous, even they have their trials, you know, or they may have something that they did that they didn't really that they really didn't know about that was wrong, and with all their heart they really think they ain't do nothing wrong, but the Most High knows. But blessing in disguise is the chastisement, so we can learn from it and go stronger in our faith, and know that the Most High always has you, and He's gonna get you through it if you're obedient. You know?
Yes, that also brings me back to a scripture I remember in the New Testament where it says, endurance buildeth character, and character builds. Well, I can't remember how it goes. Do you know that one?
Nah, I don't.
Persevere. It builds persevere. Endurance builds perseverance. Perseverance builds character, and character builds hope. No, I don't think that's how it goes.
Nah, I don't
But
really.
it.
I haven't read the Old
Okay.
Testament
Okay.
in a while. But a lot of the New Testament actually takes from Proverbs and some other places, so it can you can find certain things that are the same or sound the same or whatever. So yeah, but it's fact, you know. You gotta the trials the trials always are there to make you stronger and increase your faith. Just like the dudes, the three boys thrown in the fire, Daniel thrown in the lion's den, Samson killing 1,000 dudes with a donkey bone because he called on the Most High. It was all because they trusted in the Most High, not themselves, in obedience. And yeah, you'll be shielded, but He'll show you in the time. He'll show you in that moment when you think, or you might, that little slight little millisecond that you think you might not make it, but then you call on His name, Joel 2:32. All who call on that name, will be saved, and I attest to that.
Yeah, I believe we can have more than one testimony. I believe that.
What you mean?
Like there, like when someone gets a testimony how they've been praying for something and it came to pass that what they prayed for came to pass, but then they're having car troubles and they're scared that they're driving through like a, let's say, a snowstorm. They prayed that they would make it home safely. I feel like that in itself is a testimony that you prayed and it came to pass. You made it home safely by
Oh,
God's grace.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I got a smorgasbord of testimonies that people won't even believe in. I don't even want to get into it. Prayers answered immediately, life saved, calling on His name. Just I ain't even gonna get into it. But yeah, all praise to the Most High. Yeah, He's above everything, above all. None beside Him, none. All below Him, but so far below Him. Like say His the earth is for stool, so His feet on the earth. If and we're below the dirt. That or what's it called? Gehinnom. We're so far beneath Him. So yeah, nah, know what you mean. Those testimonies though. Yeah.
I've never actually made it to the end of reading the end of Job, so I'm glad that I was able to join in. Um, I I never knew that his kids were like his daughters were the fairest in all the land, as the Bible described it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Job had it all, lost it all, got it all back. What, sevenfold? So yes, definitely goes to show. And then over till it's over. And Most High he can turn it all around. He can take, he gives and he takes. You don't be too don't rely too much on your riches, on yourself, on your own power, on your own perceived power or wisdom. End of the day, if he ain't with you, it don't mean nothing. So whether you got it or you don't got it, keep him first and know that he can put you in a position where, you know, you're you're striving and you're sustaining and you're whether neither poor, what it say in Proverbs, maybe neither poor nor wealthy, just give me what I need to survive. That's beautiful in itself. Like just having what you need. You ain't gotta, you're not struggling. And you can walk. We take a lot of things for granted. Or we can see, can walk, can hear. Some people can't do that. And we just gotta, thank him for everything. All the blessings that you get, even all the trials that are meant to strengthen you and refine you, put you in the fire, come out as gold. You gotta see those as blessings as well. All mine have made me even closer to Most High than I've ever been. And I know it's not finished. I know I got I already know I got there's gonna be some other crazy ish to happen. So yeah, I'm ready for whatever though, cause I ain't never gonna I ain't never gonna lose my faith in him. I ain't never gonna doubt him after everything. Everything else can kick rocks, and the Most High is the rock, and whoever doesn't follow him is on the crack rock. So yeah, all praise to the Most High. But yeah, y'all, I'm about to finish my dinner. Probably hop in one of these other rooms. I see a folly room going on about Chachu. Let's see what they talking about. Unless one of y'all want to open a room up and talk about something. Yeah. All praise the Most High. May He protect y'all. May He grant you wisdom, constrain the spirit, favor, bring you through your trials, and convert you into gold and into that perfect person in His eyes. Shalom, shalom.